All right, so welcome into the live stream today. Mr. Powell came out with something I think a lot of people were expecting, and that is a rate cut. We'll break it all down for you guys today, including a ton of altcoins. You do not want to miss it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Joining me as usual is Mr. Evan.
Great to be on. Thanks
Aldo.
so much.
We're going to get into a lot of stuff today. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. This is a great place to start your self-custody journey. Check it out. Just go over to tangem.com. And one of the things you can do is jump over to the blue button right there, get the 3-card set, and you'll be in. It's a great app, very secure, and also the cool thing here, very easy to use and set up. So if you're brand new to self-custody, check out Tangem, use our link down below. So everybody, we're going to be going live here. Of course, I will say this, here in Miami, we're having some torrential downpours right now. We're getting ready to enter our hurricane season, I feel like.
Yeah.
So if we lose internet, we'll try to get something up for you. But let's get into it. Today I want to talk about a few things. And of course, one of the biggest issues is Chair Powell coming in saying we've got a rate cut coming. So time has come for Fed policy to adjust. Were you surprised at this?
No.
This is like a 25 is pretty much the expectation. There are some people kind of leaning into some other scenarios, but right here is the story. We are seeing declining inflation with Trueflation holding at 1.38, continuing to drive down. I'm interested in how CPI is going to look 30 days from now. Do you feel that we get even, do you think we're going to get under the 3% mark by then, within 30 to 60 days?
Most likely, yeah. If I had to guess, yes. And I think that's kind of what's already expected, so I don't think that's going to drive markets up like crazy.
So you're not really anticipating any kind of bump? Like a retrace, back up?
Well, I think markets will keep going up, but I don't think it's going to be for kind of that.
Inflation driven?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be necessarily that kind of reason.
I want to play the clip of Chair Powell talking about this. Let's go to that clip real quick.
Inflation brought substantial hardship, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials, like food, housing, and transportation. High inflation triggered stress and a sense of unfairness that linger today. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, with prices having risen 2.5% over the past 12 months. After a pause earlier this year, progress toward our 2% objective has resumed. My confidence has grown that inflation is on a sustainable path back to 2%. Today, the labor market has cooled considerably from its formerly overheated state. The unemployment rate began to rise over a year ago and is now at 4.3%. Still low by historical standards, but almost a full percentage point above its level in early 2023. Job gains remain solid, but have slowed this year. Job vacancies have fallen, and the ratio of vacancies to unemployment has returned to its pre-pandemic range. The hiring and quits rates are now below the levels that prevailed in 2018 and 19. Nominal wage gains have moderated, and all told, labor market conditions are now less tight than just before the pandemic in 2019, a year when inflation ran below 2%. The time has come for policy to adjust. The direction of travel is clear, and the timing and pace of rate cuts will depend on incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks.
All right, so there you heard it, Evan. You've got a couple of things playing into this, and one of the things I think that is a big factor is whether or not we see another 1 or 2 rate cuts before the end of the year. What are your thoughts?
So I think typically after you see the first rate cut, markets do come down a little bit after the first rate cut, especially the S&P 500. I think if we correct down in October a little bit, that would leave for a second rate cut, especially if inflation numbers are good, like you mentioned, for a second rate cut in November, and then potentially even a third rate cut in December, depending on how things look. So he does not sound hawkish, and I think we're going to get back into the good old days, and it'll help fuel a lot of these altcoins into 2025.
All right, so that's going to be the question is, how does Bitcoin play out through the end of the year? I do want to get into one more tweet right here, and this was from James Seyffert, hitting on markets aren't pricing in a 50 bips for September just yet. So, I mean, he still has the potential to maybe go after a 50. Again, it will probably depend on that jobs report coming prior to the FOMC meeting. Do you think there's any window at all for a 50 in September?
We would need to see the S&P 500 come down significantly.
Yeah,
I think a 5% correction at least from where we are.
Yeah, and if you look at the S&P right now, I mean, this has been growing significantly. This is on the daily. This is back here right on August. Yeah, right there on August 5th to where we are today, still up 8%. Man, that's crazy.
Almost all-time highs too. I mean, if it's at all-time highs, he's not cutting 50 basis points. No way.
I'm kind of in agreement with you. You look at a couple other things when you compare. We're going to look at Bitcoin here in a second, and you kind of compare the potential for 2 or 3 rate cuts prior into. How does Bitcoin play out? Let's say in the next 1 quarter, into the year end.
So what I think will happen is right now, I think we're generally, as what happens is we pump into the first rate cut generally. You're getting a trigger wave on the weekly, that looks really good. You're getting some other good signs here. You have a green Heikin-Ashi candle popping up on your 4-day. As well, in addition, you have a nice bullish divergence nice bullish divergence on your 4-day right here, which I think should at least get you, combined with everything else, daily money flow coming up here, everything looks beautiful for the bullish case. So probably at least get you up to the higher 60s. This is where I could see end of month, early next month around that 70K area. But that's where it gets a little bit tricky because we get up to that 70K area around rate cuts. Most likely you would come down a little bit after the first rate cut. We'll see how employment numbers look too. That could be something that brings us down. And when you look at the 4-year cycle as well, usually we don't make a true new all-time high. We haven't made a true new all-time high adjusted for inflation yet. We'd need to hit 75K for that. Usually you don't hit that until later this year or early next year in the 4-year cycle. So say you come back down to retest high 50s here after that first rate cut or around that time of that in September, and then into, bounce around here or whatever, boring area like that or something, and then into, let's say, October or something, you come back up to, just around those all-time high areas for the election, you bounce around a little bit, and then here's where you start to really go good, more following, I should spread this out a little bit, more towards the end of the year. So I think we're generally going to be kind of range bound a little bit until the end of the year and then jump outward more. And what we could do is kind of compare this into what happened kind of last time. Look at that red dot right here where we came down in September of 2020. We're approaching September right now. We're still getting the same fear that we got back here in the 4-year cycle, which is crazy too. You even had that same fear in August and September of 2016 as well.
Yeah. And
then look at that, all those green candles. I think it's going to look more like this back in kind of 2016, 2017, where it was more healthy. You had some corrections there. And if you look at this area, August and September of 2016, more red, and then gradually, see, you had some sideways action towards, October, September, and then you gradually came up. That's what I think will most likely happen. So, 80K in September, probably not, but 70K, high 60s, absolutely, and then maybe correcting back to 50K, and then 80K into the end of the year or the next year is what I'm looking at.
So you feel that we're still soft in, at least before the year end, we're not going to see, a 6-digit Bitcoin?
I think it's highly unlikely that we see 100K before the end of the year.
All right, a couple of people looking at that range right now, eyeing the 65 resistance level. Do you think that is one of the correction areas that we would probably see prior to, whether it's another rate cut or maybe even going into the election, or do you feel like the election is going to be one of the trigger points after we get a rate cut in September?
So I think that the first rate cut would come down. So you mentioned 65. I think that's going to be a big place that we would kind of potentially reject from. You get up to 65, somewhere around here, like I mentioned, then come back down to that 60K. Maybe even scare a lot of people off and do something crazy after the first rate cut, retest 50K, make a higher low. But typically you do come down a little bit after the first rate cut, as we've seen. Last time we had the first rate cut was July of 2019, S&P 500 corrected about 5%. I would kind of guess that, unless we're going to go into a major, recession and everything gets really ugly, which would be highly, highly unlikely. I would guess you'd get a little blip with the S&P 500, October a little bit, and then come back into the election. So yeah.
I'm kind of in agreement with you right now. I still feel that the end of this year is still a little bit soft before, mainly because of the trailing macro numbers that could still come in and kind of haunt us slightly, which means, that it would be maybe Q1 before we start to see some altcoin movement really getting active. That I think is the key. Yeah. Make sure if you like these live streams, smash the like button right now. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure and do that. If you're not in our Diamond Circle, make sure and get in. It's one of the great places that we do additional content. We actually have our political tracker over there. along with all of our memberships, which are free. You can get into our Diamond Circle level, which is additional content, more podcast, more research. We'll leave a link down below. Catch that, and it's very easy. Let's go over to a couple of altcoins. I want to start with Optimism. This is Ryan Watt. We've been heads down. I'm excited for all of us to welcome Sony to Optimism alongside Coinbase and other great companies. So a little bit of movement right now. And if you look at the movement, when you think of Sonium and the kind of projects that are aligned up with this, Sony, we've talked about this before on the show, that this is most likely going to happen. It has occurred, and we're going to start seeing a lot of these kind of tokens, especially the Astar Network, Chainlink, Optimism, most likely get some pretty significant moves. Optimism as a play right now, what do you think?
I like it because if you just zoom out here on the 3-day, look at, we keep generally making higher lows kind of generally right here, especially from that drop, that bottom in June of 23, you made a higher low, which is pretty good. I like that. When I look at Market Cipher B here, 3-day, nice bullish div, money flow coming up, that looks really good. This could easily bring us back up to $2, $2.20 potentially. Like I mentioned with Bitcoin, I mean, I don't think we're going to pump above that and hit like all-time highs before the end of the year. Maybe we reject from $2, $2.25, come back down a bit, retest, $1.50, and then into November, into end of year, that's where you really get up to that $4 mark. And then if the best case scenario is you'd hope that we would make new all-time highs, and you may be looking at up to $7 if you make new all-time highs, like a nice, what is that, 6x or something? From where we are right now, about 300%. Could be even more. I mean, it's a small market cap, but it's hard to say. But I mean, the maximum, at absolute maximum, maybe like $14 would be crazy. Probably $11 maximum.
Yeah. We're going to try to do a video for you guys on Optimism because there is a lot of news out on this, and there's some key dates that are rolling in on this. And I think with this could be one of the altcoins that really starts to move. MATIC is another one, of course, getting ready to become the POL token. This will be available coming up on Coinbase. But if you're on Coinbase, here's Melker talking about it. If you're holding on Coinbase, you don't need to do anything. It's just going to shift over to the new token. You look at Polygon right now. This is one that both of us own, we hold. We've been in and out of MATIC for many reasons over the years, but you look at where it is right now. A lot of advancements, the team continues to work, and now we're starting to see some trade signals. When you look at the charts, do you like this long term, or is this more of a short term for you?
Both right now, but I mean, you're going to get more long term most likely if the 4-year cycle does play out and the bull run peaks out in 2025. Now, the thing I like, just like Optimism here, look at this. We keep making higher lows, which is excellent. You had that low here, March of 21. Second low here, June of 22. Third low, very recently, August of this year. Now you're starting to come back. Green Heikin-Ashi candle, looking excellent right here. Now, short term, I think you've got a good shot of at least getting up to around 58 to 60 cents. We'll see if we could break through that. I mean, you could even jump up to 75 cents. That wouldn't be that crazy over next few weeks into the first rate cut. Maybe you get up to 75 cents. Maybe then you correct until that second rate cut, and then you're kind of home free in 2025 where you see that real bull run. And then for a very long-term prediction here, what we could look at, let's just do a little fib level for some potential highs. I mean, for a new all-time high, $3.50 on the high end. Probably a 10x would be the high end of what I would predict here.
So you like this as a 10x token?
I think there's a good shot at 10x. Obviously, you may not even make a new all-time high. It's hard to say on these, but I think there's a good shot of a 10x.
Well, it's going to continue to get a lot of activity with Polymarket. Here's just the open interest on Polymarket continuing to explode over here on Dune Analytics. You can kind of see this is just here recently. A lot within what's happening in the political landscape. Polymarket, if you're brand new to our show, you probably don't know much about this, but it is a predictive market platform out there based on Polygon. So this is one that you probably should keep an eye on because it has been somewhat accurate to an extent, at least on the last little bit when you've got a lot of people in the race. This, of course, is the presidential election right now. Trump getting down a little bit. Harris is up. I mean, this is back and forth.
I think this is going to stay generally 50-50 until the election.
Yeah, for a while.
Something crazy happens, yeah.
All right, let's go over to Flow because this is getting ready to be a big deal. Flow launching some new technologies that could make gas fees on a lot of other networks pretty much insignificant. I think this is going to be one of those things with Flow that, and they've been able to do this from a brand standpoint. You look at Top Shots, you look at the scenarios with Disney, and they're now starting to break out, especially with the expansion into these networks. Do you like Flow as an investment as it right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Would you get this one if you did not own it today? Would you buy it today?
I would buy it today, but I mean, I wouldn't just buy Flow. You know what I mean? You got to be diversified.
Sure.
You know, it's a very good bet, but it may not play out, obviously, like any crypto. Now, you're making a higher low right here. You have a bullish divergence, you know, on your weekly. That looks excellent. That could easily, you know, that could be a rally up to, I mean, probably up to $1.40. I mean, you do have some resistance, obviously, at $1 that, you know, may pull us back. Maybe just like, I mean, my trajectory, maybe we hit that area right there, that's that dollar point, then reject and make a higher low in November. Then that second rate cut brings us back up to this area, and then you're kind of home free to, hopefully on the high end of what I would say, this could be another 10x coin. The high end, maybe $5.74, that's a fib level. You have a lot of resistance at $3. I mean, you may not make a new all-time high, you know, if the more bearish scenario plays out. But yeah, you could have a nice trajectory here, definitely.
This is something that I think a lot of people do not do enough of, and that is, you have to if you have conviction on certain projects, and this goes for stocks, it goes for pretty much any kind of real estate. Once you find something that really you feel, all right, this has a future, and Flow may be one of those projects, being able to hold into those longer term analysis, especially around altcoins, which we've talked about before. Do you think altcoin season is going to be a prolonged season? Do you feel it's going to be a very short window? I
think it's going to be a prolonged one, and I'll show you why. On Bitcoin dominance right here, this is interesting on Bitcoin dominance. So altcoin season last time basically essentially started the moment Bitcoin made a true new all-time high, which was December of 2020, January of 21 right here. And look, right where that was when Bitcoin went over 20K, and then you dropped down and you kept dropping down for the bottom in basically January of 22 right there. So if we follow that, and it also happened in the last cycle before that as well, if we follow that, you're probably going to see Bitcoin dominance peak out at the latest, probably towards the end of this year or something, at 60% or something like that.
Yeah.
And after that, you know, after the first rate cut, I don't think one rate cut with 25 basis points is enough to really start an altcoin season, but two of them I think could absolutely be enough, 2 or 3 rate cuts. And then you'll probably see a repeat of that situation, hopefully back down to this area. So, I mean, if you're looking at that, it was a full year. So I think 2025 generally, that's going to be the full year of the altcoin season.
All right, so a lot happening there. Speaking of altcoins, you have to look at one of the networks that's been around for quite some time. This is Tron. We've talked about it a little bit. Here's Justin Sun talking with Nooner over there about the meme tokens. And this has been one of the things that you guys have followed, I think, on our channel. You look at what's happened with the Solana ecosystem meme tokens. Then you look at the meme tokens within the Avalanche ecosystem. We've seen this even within meme tokens in the ETH ecosystem, but now Tron, of course, starting to play into this. Sun Wukong is one that we've been watching, and of course it's been up just a little bit. If you're not following this, check it out, go over and kind of really get into the Tron ecosystem. Do you like Tron right now?
I do like Tron, yeah.
Okay.
It is, you know, it's one of those that's like, kind of like a Casper, the few that have done very, very well throughout this. I mean, you're still technically not above your all-time high from January 2018, which I guess that's the scary part, because you know, you're above the high of April 21. You're starting, not even above that, you're almost there. But if we could continue this path forward, and I think we most likely will, you know, along with the rest of the crypto market, you could see a jump up to around 34 cents. And if you could break above that old all-time high, you could see 54 cents. Now, that, it may not be, you know, it's probably not going to be a 10x token, but 200%, you know, into the next year, potentially. I mean, there are, you know, higher targets we could even look at here, you know, for a long-term prediction. I mean, on the highest absolute end, I mean, if you want to talk about 8x or something, yeah, $1.22. It'll be probably one of these areas, maybe 90 cents or somewhere around here. Probably in the low end, 54 cents. I think you probably would make a new all-time high unless something very bad happens with this. But as of right now, looks pretty good. My guess is that over the next, you know, month, we could continue forward. Maybe we could get up to that, close to that old all-time high, then reject, retest these points, get some volatility, some excitement for once, and then continue into, you know, continue forward.
I'm looking at the CoinGecko This is in the category of the Tron memes, and of course there's Sundog right now up 267 on the 7-day. That's crazy. Let me kind of zoom in on that for you guys a little bit. This is the one we've been watching, is Sun Wukong. This is one that could start to break, and it's, there's some reasons. If you haven't checked out our Tron videos, go back to those. I know there's a lot of people that it's kind of tribal, to a certain extent in crypto. We don't really play that much here. We are here strictly for the tech and for the investment. So if it moves, then it's kind of groovy to us. So I think that's the factor that you have to play into some of these. One thing to watch though on that particular meme token and why it's been moving is this right here. PS5 reporting selling out in China, and this is talking about the Wukong games. So we may see, and it has nothing to do with the token. That's the whole point. But the idea. You know how memes run. You get into these cycles and one hits, and it's one of these that goes up 3,000% in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks.
That's why you got to be diversified in your memes.
There you go. All right, let's talk about Solana quickly. And Breakpoint is happening here, coming up in Singapore. Evan, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be a token. Yeah, that's right. That's right after token 2049.
Yeah, they're kind of circling around. Okay. So you've got you should stay for that.
I should. Yeah, I didn't know about that. Interesting.
Stay for that. Yeah. So it's happening on the 20th and 21st next month. This, of course, could be something big coming out of Solana. Many things that we're watching, of course, is the mobile device, and we're also looking for an update on Fire Dancer. And as far as the charts, because Solana's been a little sleepy here in the last 3 weeks, what do you think?
It looks very good. I mean, right now you're getting bullish divs, you're getting a lot of good things, trigger waves forming here in your 3-day. I think you got a really good shot of at least jumping up to $153. If you could break above that, then you're looking at this high right here around 163, 164 is what we would be looking at. So let's say we could jump up a bit, maybe have a bullish couple weeks here into September, maybe hit that 163 area, and then that's where I would be looking for a potential rejection back down to retest either 153 or bore everybody and retest this spiral line, this area at I don't know if you still have it up right here, 139, and then
no problem. I'm on it right now. Can you get to mine? All right, perfect. That way you can kind of bring his back in.
Anyway, just to explain, 140 could be a big point that we jump off of in, say, September, October, and then we're kind of home free to hopefully make a new all-time high for Solana on the macro, get above that $200.60, get above $260 to make that new all-time high, hopefully sometime early next year, later this year, and then potentially make a new all-time high to, I got some spiral lines up to, if we map this out, July of 25, maybe at $400, and then November of 25, maybe at $600, which I would be looking at.
So November of 25,
$600.
You're looking at a $600 Solana. So, yeah, just reconnect there. So for that to happen, I think two things are going to have to really trigger. One, of course, we're going to have to see a big event for Breakpoint. Okay. Breakpoint is going to be the announcement of not only projects that are starting to move, but also the fact that we'll most likely see the Saga phone announced. That could get into everything from Helium to Helium Mobile, and a lot of those kind of scenarios that play into your strategy around altcoins. But I don't know, late next year, really, that long.
For a peak, well, that's the 4-year cycle. For a market cycle peak, you would be looking at a gradually, good year. You would just gradually go up with some corrections here and there.
2025 going to be a rock star year. All right, let's go into a couple other things. This was a sneak peek from Toli. Don't know what this means. Very cryptic. Solana will never be the same. I don't know if this is the Saga device. Because this is something we've speculated about here on the channel, is whether or not it's going to be a phone or a gaming console or a handheld. We just don't know. Or a wallet. Who knows what it could be. But I'd love to get you guys' feedback. Just drop some comments down below. I'd love to kind of get your interest on where that might be going. Other things that are happening right now is, remember that Solana was involved in Ethereum's expensive transaction fees. About 75% of the Sol transactions are now. Remember, and the reason I'm bringing this up is this happened a lot back when we were starting to see movement in the markets. Coinbase went down. We saw problems with almost every network when much of the market was running hard, and most likely we'll get another parabolic move. So you've got to be able to look at which chain makes it through this next big test.
Right.
So you look at Avalanche, Solana, Ethereum, you could look at others, including Bitcoin.
I think those three will make it through.
But in the essence of not having a PR nightmare, like the chain shuts down in the middle of a bull run, you can't move your your tokens out of wallets.
Everybody's probably thinking it'll happen with Solana again, but
well, that's the key right there. You got to be watching for it. This was something we did back in December of 2023, and it was this right here. Avalanche's gas fees skyrocketed. This was another factor of those kinds of scenarios that play out. We like Avalanche as a project, but you've got to always be prepared and kind of hedging against those potentials of some of these chains being in a bad position if you need to exit. What about Avalanche right now?
I like Avalanche.
I know that is one of your favorite tokens. So
it is.
what do you say about this one?
So great curvature here on the daily.
It's on the move right now.
Yeah, it is on the move. Great curvature on the daily. This could easily continue us forward to $30. If we could break above there, you're looking at 39. I would expect probably some type of correction at 40. That could be our September correction. You come back down to, let's say, 30, maybe even back down to 25. But then after that, you continue forward and you're generally home free. I think Avalanche, let's do more of a kind of macro prediction here. These are the two places that I've been looking at for potential new all-time highs next year. $234 is a big spot. Then the high end, $300. So from where we are right now, let's see where that would bring us up to. This could go up 8x to maybe on the high end 12x, 13x. So yeah. That area. Now we've got to push through our old all-time high though. Around 100 to 130 is going to be a big area that we got to push through. This area is going to be very big. So if we can't push through that, that could be it could be a rejection of the last all-time high of the last bull run, which does happen. Look at things like Litecoin. It does happen a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Well, there's two factors that within the AVAX ecosystem you have to keep an eye on. One, of course, is real-world assets. Tokenized securities, they've already announced a lot of news this week, which I think is why we're seeing a little bit of the movement. They've also done some significant hires, and that is getting traditional finance people into the Avalanche ecosystem. That could be a key factor. But the other one that I'm watching is still the gaming sector. I still believe that if they hit a home run, and they've been somewhat successful with off the grid already, I think they're yet to really show their true colors when it comes to the gaming side, but the home run may be in tokenized securities, for Avalanche. Next year, especially if we see institutional start to really adopt in, which is what has been happening.
Yeah.
So a couple of things hitting right now. This, of course, coming in from the crypto pit, and this is talking about Hedera. Now, Hedera is interesting because we've talked about this one at length. We've had them on the show many times. And the governance council that essentially is the groups that govern Hedera, the token, and you look at the blockchain in general, right now, it looks like it might be ready for another bounce. My question is, if timing is in here and they announce another big governance member, this could go again. The last time it went up like 40% in a day.
This could jump. I mean, you keep, just the first thing I look at is just what price has been doing since December of 22. We keep making higher lows, which is good. That's the first thing. You have a deep anchor wave on the weekly. The last time we had a deep anchor wave on the weekly, okay, you did come down farther, but it was kind of that bear market. But you could compare it to also this one. We jumped up a lot. You can also compare it to this one, which is great, and that led to a giant kind of rally right there. This is kind of, I'd say, the first half of our bull run at 300%. So I think you got a good shot of at least kind of repeating this type of situation from that bottom right there. So I would say the low end of my prediction for this is at least around a 4x to get to 20 cents. Now, what I think could happen in the more short term here is we jump up, big pocket around 7 cents all the way up to 8 cents, which is going to be big. So I think you could potentially get up there by that first rate cut, by that FOMC meeting. Then after the first rate cut, I think there's going to be some fear, some selling, maybe back down to 6 cents. And then after that, that could lead up to your rally to continue forward, up to that 13 cents in early next year, into mid next year, 20 cents. And then after that, hopefully we would try to get back up to 36 cents for our all-time high If we want to get really crazy with this on the high end of where we could end up, I mean, it's a long shot, but $1 is not impossible if everything stars align. So yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of resistance areas. They've got a big order block up around that 7. That's Bitcoin. Let me go back to HBAR real quick. This is the one I was looking at. If I can load it up. With HBAR, and of course, this is one of the things that, again, we've talked about before. Yeah, there it is. So you were talking about 11 cents, but you're looking at, this is on the daily. Let me go to the weekly. It's the one I was concerned and was looking.
8 cents. I was looking at
right.
7 to 8 cents. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in the same spot that I am. In terms of watching this one a little bit closer. When you look at, because this isn't necessarily one of those tokens that could be a 10x, but we could see some numbers on this. Again, key here is going to be some of the announcement that Hedera makes. And remember, a lot of these chains, a lot of these projects are timing their announcements with their events. What we'll most likely see at Token 2049 with obviously with Breakpoint. And then most likely we'll see some stuff happening in alignment with these rate cuts, which I'm looking for, like, just news to start trickling through from a lot of these chains. And just kind of piggybacking. Is there any other token that you would say, all right, this is one that I've been watching, not many people are talking about it, but we think it's going to move?
I could be completely wrong on this, but I've been keeping my eye on Apecoin. I have been keeping my eye on Apecoin.
Here we go. The ape is back in the house.
I mean, the chart looks abysmal, or abysmal in the sense that it keeps coming down, but you're about to get a bull div on your 2-week here for the first time ever. That could be pretty good. You got a big jump up here. It's on the weekly, there's some things, and I mean, I wouldn't bet completely against Yuga Labs and those NFT collections. So this could, if you could get anywhere near old all-time highs, you could jump up around 8x or something. So I have been keeping my eye on Apecoin. Again, very risky. I could be completely wrong, but it's one of the ones that I've looked at.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. Let's get into some questions for sure. You kind of cue some of those, but before we do that, let's hit the poll. Take a look real quick. Is now the time to unload dry powder on altcoins? Everybody's saying yes, rate cuts coming. 71% saying this is the time.
It is the time. You want to be diversified, though. And I mean, if you do look at the first cycle, not to sound too bearish, but I think a lot of the altcoins did bottom out in early 2017, such as Litecoin. Ethereum bottomed out in December of 2016. So if you follow that, worst case scenario would be the bottoms later this year or early next year. So you want to be diversified. I would DCA. All
right. They're jacking with you in the comments already. All right. So what do we have on questions? What do you want to pick?
So Apecoin, yes, it could absolutely be a scam, Apecoin, so be careful, like I mentioned. Don't buy it. Let's see.
Again, not financial advice.
Sol's still good long-term invest or overwinged by Sui. That's a good comparison. Yeah.
To look at going both ways if you wanted to, jump into something. I mean, as far as diversification, if you're not exposed to either, I think either is a good play.
Yeah, exactly what you said, Paul. And I think obviously, if you're more of a gambler, Sui probably would outperform it. I mean, Sui could get, let's see what we could get if we follow some fib levels here. I mean, $3 could be a nice bet. On the high end of what you could look at would be $7. So 7x is obviously going to outperform Solana, but we don't know if it's going to go up to $7. That's the question there.
And it has been, I mean, this is the daily, but it's been down quite a bit here with Sui. So I don't know. This is an interesting, the dollar has been, well, not necessarily. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a resistance. Do you, near term on Sui, what would you say? Near term, next 90 days?
Near term, next 90 days? Man, I mean, it's volatile. You could get back up to just under $2, but I think if you get back up there, you probably will reject and then come back down to at least retest $1 and then hopefully continue forward into next year. So I think the best case scenario, next 90 days, $2 probably. Well, 90 days, well, we're already in September. Time goes by fast.
End of year.
End of year, best case, maybe a slight new all-time high. Maybe a slight new all-time high.
I like it, okay.
Yeah.
All-time high on Sui by end of year.
Maybe.
Evan
I don't
Aldo
know.
called it.
I don't know.
You're backing up there, Evan. Yeah. What else do we have on
Thoughts
question?
on Helium Mobile price? That's been jumping. I think that'll continue to do well.
Yep.
I think you might be able to make a new all-time high end of the year or the next year, get it back up to $10.
Well, and the thing with Helium and Mobile, the problem, and this is something we've talked about before in general, the problem with, I think, when you look at mobile token, if you guys are following Helium Mobile, one thing to check out. By the way, it's a great product. I use it. It's fantastic. But a lot of people are using the tokens to actually pay for the service because you earn tokens.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're burning those tokens. There is a strategy they could implement that would alleviate that pressure, because that's a sell pressure, on that token.
Yeah.
And they're growing so fast. I think they're over 120,000 members now.
It is pretty, I have it, yeah.
So imagine if they go up to 1 million users. All right, imagine what that would do to the mobile token in general. And all that means is there's just more people finding out that this is actually an alternative. I mean, look at Mint Mobile's growth over the last 6 months. Yeah, Mint Mobile has exploded, so.
If you look at the mobile token, which is different from the Helium token, way down, but look at that daily, some good curvature. You might be able to jump back up to, oh my God, 2/10 of a cent.
There you go.
2/10 of a cent, maybe.
Key here on mobile is they've got to restructure how they handle price pressure, because that is the key. If they get into maybe something like we were talking about this in the crypto pit about doing a staking challenge, to where when you gain Mint or mobile tokens, you'd stake it and then pay out of your staking. So it might help alleviate some of the pressure on sell pressure, and then reward people. Which I still think referrals is the way to kind of capitalize on that.
Yeah.
It's been very successful with Saga, so I can't imagine that it wouldn't be successful there.
I think they'll figure it out.
What else do we have?
Let's see. This guy feels sorry for XRP and ADA holders.
ADA holders. Why is everybody feeling sorry?
I don't know. People are negative about ADA. They're saying ADA's not even going to get back up to $1 in the next bull run. Oh,
really?
Boy.
I think it'll top 10 token.
Yeah, I think it'll at least get back up to $2 probably.
On the daily, ADA has been climbing since its event. So it had an event, which I thought was a good strategy, whether you like it or not. It's up 20% on the last week. That's not bad.
I do think you could hit end of year or next year 75 cents and potentially up to $2. So
all right.
There's some XRP that's looked pretty good. That has looked better. I think you at least could get up to $1 early next year. And then potentially from there, we'll see what happens, maybe $2.
XRP could be a setup for a breakout too, because I'm watching some things with XRP when it comes to, as we see more regulation playing into it. And I think their stablecoin, remember, their event is here in Miami. I think it's in October. They could announce some pretty big deals there, including the stablecoin, possibly all sorts of integration into countries. When you look at treasuries, there could be some big news coming in, so I'm going to keep a close eye on Swell, because that's the event that is happening. All right, guys, do we have any more? Any more questions?
Oh man, there's a lot of thoughts on Caspa.
They're piling them in.
They're really.
Caspa, we've been up and out on Stacks and Ondo. I like Stacks. I'm holding Stacks right now, and Ondo we've been in and out of. Yeah.
Yeah, both of those I think will do somewhat well. Let's see, they want a new all-time high by November. Probably not going to happen. I don't think so. I could be wrong, though. Yeah. Bitcoin isn't going to do the same thing every 4 years. Well, this 4 years it will, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you like, what's your all-time high on this bull run?
140. I'm looking at 120 to 160. Somewhere above 100. We'll see what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's still a very bullish position.
Yeah. I think we could generally double from where we are right now.
That puts ETH in the 10 to 12K range.
7 to 12, yeah. I could see ETH only hitting 7 or 8.
Really?
Potentially. Well, if you have Bitcoin double from where we are right now, ETH would still outperform it, just getting up to 7,500. That'd almost be a 3x.
True.
So, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
All right, do you guys like the live streams? Make sure and smash the button right now, hit it, and of course, one of the things we always ask you to do is follow Evan over on his channel.
Just follow me, youtube.com/Evan Aldo.
Yes, you've got the courses over there.
Yes, there's a free course.
Are you doing as many live streams though?
I am doing live streams.
Come on, man, you got to work harder.
More live streams. Okay, I'll do more live streams. Try to 5 days a week. Yeah, I got to do more. Do a lot of live streams.
How often are you doing them right now?
The live streams every day.
Every day?
Monday through Friday, typically.
What time is the live stream?
Whenever I want. Usually around, whenever the market's doing something. I'm not going to watch paint dry on a live stream.
I like it. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So have you done one today?
Not today, no.
So after this, you can go home and do one.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
Fridays sometimes, we'll
get
see.
over
Maybe
it.
later.
We always
yeah.
leave links for
Yeah.
Evan's channel down below, and of course, check out his courses.
Yeah.
He's got a discount for you guys if you're following the PBN family. Use that as well. And as always, follow me out there on X. It's just @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.